You spent $40,000 on your ass?
I have now had a rhinoplasty, buccal fat removal, I've had armpit lipo, I have had...
Armpit lipo? What the hell is that?
I'm laying on the beach in Miami and I roll from my stomach to my back. I sit up, I'm like, I start looking around, I'm like, you guys, my butt implant just flipped.
Imagine you spend $40,000 for a botched surgery just for your surgeon to look you dead in your eyes and tell you, I'm not going to apologize. What the fuck? $40,000 on some shit you put on a toilet? Welcome back to another episode of Clocked Out Conversations. I'm your host Fahim, and today we got some more TikTok content. Get unready with me while I talk about how getting a BBL at 16 ruined my life. At 16? I'm not here to waste your time. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more, and let's get into it.
Get unready with me while I talk about how being gifted a BBL for my 16th birthday ruined my life. Okay, so yes, it was a gift, but no, it was not pushed on me in any way. It was actually something I begged for, but I was 16. So I would say this ruined my life. Just having started my plastic surgery journey at such a young age, I would say I quite literally became addicted. I had 8 procedures by the time I was 21, many of which I regret. I'm talking about it now because I finally have started the journey of reversing my plastic surgery. I'm 22 now, so I did get my BBL years ago. So I would say it was before the whole BBL wave really took full effect. But again, for me, it was the age that I got my BBL. I don't have anything against BBLs. So I ended up just getting a lot of honestly unnecessary surgeries, and I would say in the end I ended up being more insecure than I was to begin with. So with my most recent body enhancement surgery that I had in 2022, I had major complications. I would go as far as to say I'm borderline disabled. I can't do any of the things I used to be able to do and I enjoy doing. I can't do yoga, I can't do, you know what I mean? There's a lot of things I can't do. Every decision that I make has to have an extra 2 seconds added on to be calculated, and you know what I mean? I have to actually calculate my movements to avoid causing further damage and pain. So starting at such a young age with the plastic surgery and seeing how easy it was to just go make all these alterations to your body, I started to see more and more flaws in myself. And I started to want to correct these flaws. But at what cost? You know what I mean? I'm physically, mentally worse off than I was prior to these surgeries. At 16, my body was still developing. You know what I mean? It was nowhere near its full, I was still developing. I'm 16 years old. I feel like that clinic in Miami should have never, ever, ever allowed that to be a thing, as well as many other people. I highly, highly regret it. I don't recommend plastic surgery to anyone. I plan on speaking out more about it, but for tonight, I am going to go get in bed and bed rot.
You see, and this is the problem. This is a very funny frame to pause on, by the way. But this is the problem with plastic surgery in general. Plastic surgery is just an excuse to conceal the insecurities that you really have. You're not actually solving the problem. All you're doing is applying a Band-Aid. In addition to that, it only worsens the problems and magnifies the insecurities, because now you are of the thinking that all you have to do to get rid of the insecurities you have is to go pay a surgeon, which in that attempt will cause you to pay attention to other insecurities and lead you to a cycle of continuously going to surgeons. Let's keep on going.
I made a video last week about how being gifted a BBL at 16 ruined my life. Now I'm going to do a video answering everybody's questions. So one of the questions that I saw, I'm going to do this story time while taking out my braids actually. So one of the questions that I saw is this a skit? No, this is not a skit. I would not make up something like this. I was 16 back in 2018 and I followed Kylie Jenner, of course, at the time. And that's when there was like a lot of speculation about whether or not she had gotten a BBL. So I became obsessed with the idea of a BBL. I ended up on this site called Real Self, and I had posted a question on Real Self. I would say it's like a Quora or whatever kind of. And I said, does anybody know of any clinics that would perform a BBL on somebody under 18? So this clinic reached out to me less than a week later saying that they had a surgeon at their clinic willing to perform the BBL. Keep in mind, they only had a couple of surgeons that were willing to perform a BBL on somebody that age because the clinic that reached out to me was based out of Miami, and in Florida, you can get a BBL under 18 as long as you have parental consent. So it is possible. You just need to have parental consent. I honestly have no further comment on the parental consent aspect of it. I feel like that could be a story time in itself. Yeah, I really don't have an answer for y'all on that one. It was wrong. It should have never been allowed. It should have never been approved. I cannot say that I would make the same decision with my kids. And that's all I have to say for that. I have no idea why this specific surgeon in Miami decided that it was okay for a 16-year-old to get this procedure done. There was not a lot of discussion prior to the surgery. The consult was very brief. I just showed up that day. They marked me up. There wasn't like a pre-op situation. There wasn't like a meeting beforehand. It was all very just cut and dry, literally. The clinic that I went to has since been upgraded. They have like a beautiful facility now, but when I went to them, the operating room literally looked like a garage. Like, it was so sketchy. The BBL cost $4,500 at the time. This was back when they were cheap, before like the BBL wave. So yeah, a lot of people were wondering, how does a 16-year-old have the money for that? I was gifted it, and go to part 2 to find out who gifted it to me and why, and for more drama.
So, number one, it's very interesting because I've read studies that refer to how young women are impacted by the social figures on social media. And it turns out that women are even more negatively impacted by social media than men are. And this is because they look up to many other female figures that have high amounts of social status and receive lots of attention because of their bodies, leading to young women developing body dysmorphia, eating disorders, and conditions of the like. Which is why it's very important for young women in particular to mitigate the amount that they consume social media, because it can potentially lead to many of these mind and body altering issues. In addition to that, when I look at her, I do see a resemblance of Kylie Jenner, which is kind of creepy and is kind of scary. You are so parasocial that you are trying to mimic somebody who doesn't even know you. That's insanity. That has to be categorically a part of the definition of insanity. It has to be. It has to be. In addition to that, when it comes to this parental advisory or this parental kind of admission to giving your child to the surgeon, that is ridiculous. What parents did you have? What parents did you have? They're horrible parents. If nobody ever told you, I'm telling you right now, you had terrible parents. To allow you to go through with something like that at the age of 16 is preposterous. It's disgusting. And it really should be a part of the definition of child abuse. It really should be considered child abuse. Thirdly, what kind of surgeon would go along with such a thing? What kind of surgeon, what kind of moral compass do you have to where you would go along with such a procedure that would alter the body of a child so greatly at such a young age? You see, these are all of the conflictions that we have within our society that really need to be addressed and really need to be fixed. Let's keep on going.
Part 2 of answering questions on how getting a BBL at 16 ruined my life. I have only taken out like 4 braids during this, so I'm getting super distracted. But a lot of people wanted to know who gifted me this BBL. So it was my boyfriend at the time that had gifted me the BBL. I had been bringing it up nonstop for 6 months. He knew that it was something that I really wanted to do. He was 2.5 years older than me. He did get a pretty hefty allowance from his mom at the time, and so he had saved up some of his allowance and used that to buy me a BBL for my 16th birthday. And he like brought a card. It was like a bouquet of flowers, and in the card said like, you're getting what you've been hoping for so long, or something like that, just basically like announcing like, I got you the surgery. A lot of people want to see my before and after pictures, and I don't have a ton of before, like immediately before and immediately after pictures, other than the ones that I gave the surgeon to review, and I don't feel like those are super appropriate to share. So I'm going to show a few throwbacks that I have of before and immediately after, because keep in mind, since I got the BBL, I have had 8 surgeries after, and that was my point in the original video, is the addiction that I've gotten to plastic surgery and to being able to just alter your body. Do you get what I'm saying? There was a small window when I just had a BBL, so I don't have a ton of pictures of me just with the BBL because I did continue getting surgery after surgery. Okay, here's me before. This is on my 16th birthday. This is the day that I was gifted the BBL. Look at the smile on my face. I had no idea what I was getting into. Here is another before. This was the day that I got my license, so this was a couple of months after my 16th birthday. And then here is the last one. This was a couple of months before my 16th birthday. Okay, now we're gonna get to the after pictures. This is me, young little me after the BBL. This is about 6 to 8 months post-op. We went to Vegas for my little brother's basketball tournament, so that's where that's from. This is the third one. This is me about 1.5 years post-op. I wish I would have stopped there. Unfortunately, I continued on, had 8 more surgeries that have left me literally disabled. So in the next video, part 3, I'm going to talk about how much I've spent on surgeries, the worst surgeries I've had, recovery, the surgery that essentially left me disabled. Catch you in part 3.
So now let's talk about the fact that she desired attention so much that you can literally see it in the images. You want to know how I know that that is the case? On all of the images when she was 15, it seemed like, heading towards being 16 pre-op, all of her pictures were forward facing. All of her pictures were pictures of the front of her body. As soon as she got that BBL, all of the images are from the perspective of somebody looking at her ass. That's what it is. That's what it is. Did you notice? Did you notice? Every picture post-op is a picture of her ass, or a picture of her side, or her ass cheeks are showing. Isn't that crazy to you? And it just goes to show the lengths that some young women will go to just to get that attention and social validation that they think that they're looking for. Let's keep on going.
Welcome to part 3 of taking out my braids and answering questions on how being gifted a BBL at 16 ruined my life. Okay, so I'm about to go into my appointment, but I was finishing editing part 3, and as you can see, I got my braids out finally, but there's a couple of things that I wanted to say that I noticed while I was editing. First of all, I can tell a ton of people think that I'm saying that my life was ruined and I was left disabled by the BBL, and that's not the case. It was by the addiction that came with starting plastic surgery so young. Second, just a disclaimer, you probably want to watch this one in 2x speed because this is like a 10-minute video compared to the other 2 parts. Third disclaimer is the original BBL, yes, it was a gift, but every surgery that I have had after that, I have paid for myself. So that's all money that I have spent myself. Third disclaimer, people are saying I look older than my age. I think that that is also a result of the plastic surgery addiction. I feel strongly that once I got the buccal fat removal and the rhinoplasty, that it aged me a lot. So those are my disclaimers. Enjoy. The initial surgery, the BBL, went really good. I did not have any complications with the recovery. It actually looked really good. You can see my before and afters in the last video. But I was getting constant compliments from those around me. I went viral on social media after. My head was blown up, to say the least. My head was blown up. So then I started just standing in front of the mirror and I'm like, what could I fix? Like, what else could I alter? Like, if I just tweaked this, what else would, like, ooh. And I was also in a super unhealthy relationship at the time. Like, I had just gotten to a super unhealthy relationship immediately post-op. And he would constantly tell me, like, hey, if you just tweaked this, you would be perfect. If you just tweaked that, you would be perfect. You'd be the definition of perfect if you just got filler here, if you just got your jaw done. So that took a huge mental toll on me too. So out of all the 3 parts, this is going to be the most personal, the most vulnerable, and the most uncomfortable for me.
You see, and this goes back to what I was talking about earlier. Social validation. Note, everybody around her is now complimenting her. She's getting compliments that she was not getting before. She is getting attention that she was not getting before. The man that she was with at the time is now encouraging her to get even more work done to her body, work that she hadn't even thought of prior to. And so now she has all of this external motivation to continuously alter her body, in addition to the insecurities that she already feels as a young woman. This is a lot on the mind. This is taxing her mental health. This has put her in such a position where she felt that she needed to get 8 surgeries done, not only on her body, but on her face. Lord have mercy. Let's keep on going.
Because I've never spoken on exactly what surgeries I've had. So I'm not sharing this for any sort of opinions in the comments. I'm sharing it strictly to help young girls not end up in the same situation as me, to raise awareness and to hopefully stop somebody else from making the same decisions that I made. I am now 22, and since getting my first surgery, a BBL, I have now had a rhinoplasty, buccal fat removal, I've had armpit lipo, I have had
Armpit lipo? What the hell is that? Huh? Armpit lipo? Oh my God.
my breasts done. I've had a breast augmentation. I have had a hip and butt augmentation, and that is the specific surgery that absolutely destroyed me. So in 2022, I started noticing that a lot of my BBL fat had dissolved or died. It didn't survive, I guess. So I wanted a second round of BBL. I didn't want to gain the weight to do it, so I started exploring my other options. Okay, so I stumbled across implants. Ugh. If I could go back in time. I end up spending close to $40,000 on custom hip implants and butt implants.
You spent $40,000 on your ass? Are you kidding me? $40,000? My guy, that's a car. My guy, that's a down payment on a house. $40,000 on some shit you put on a toilet? Oh my God.
I immediately after surgery, I knew something was wrong. I knew I could feel it. I had to have a nurse come stay with me for about a week because I was fainting from the pain. Even taking the pain medication, I was fainting from the pain. So I never fully healed in my hips. I have no feeling in my hips almost 18 hours a day. It feels like my hips are asleep. And then those other 4 hours, it's like the tingling sensation of your feet like waking up, you know what I mean? So I'm in constant discomfort. I've had to take multiple flights to and from LA to go visit the doctor that originally put them in because there's been fluid buildup, there has been issue after issue, and we are just talking about the hip implants. I haven't even moved on to the butt implants yet. So just in the hip implants, I had numerous issues. I had fluid buildup. They did not look like they fit my body at all. I'm like, how are these custom and they don't fit my body? Why can I not feel massive amounts of my, like, huge chunks of my body have no feeling. I have no sensation. I couldn't roll over at night. And the way that they put the hip implants in is they put the hip implants in your body and then they sew them at the top to your hip bone. So they're sewn to my hip bone. And throughout the day, I can feel where the stitching is. I can feel burning and pain and a sharp pain in that spot. Thank God I got them removed finally. But yeah, that's why I'm finally deciding to speak out on all of this, is because I have been able to start through the process of reversing everything, and I'm finally in a place where I feel like I can talk about it. I made tons of complaints to the doctor who originally put them in. He tells me, like, yeah, you are that 1%. Unfortunately, 99% of the time things go right and you're that 1% that has complications. So I guess there's some pocket where there's like fluid buildup and stuff in my butt implants. Now we're moving on to talk about my butt implants. Sorry, you got to keep up. So there's like some loose space in my butt implants is what I was led to believe. So fast forward to 8 months post-op from my butt implants. I'm laying on the beach in Miami and I roll from my stomach to my back. I sit up. I'm like, I start looking around. I'm like, you guys, my butt implant just flipped. My butt implant flipped. Have you guys seen that article online where it's like a suction cup in her butt? My butt looked like that. I will include pictures in the next slide. I said I was going to include pictures and I can't. I lied. I can't. It's too bad. But my butt implants flipped and I was doing nothing. I was laying down and I rolled over and my butt implants flipped. Now I'm racing around Miami. I end up at the emergency room where they tell me, hey, best we can do for you is to cut you open and take them out. And like, they were not cosmetic surgeons, to say the least. Like, they were not going to make sure that it looked, that the job was done aesthetically at all. Like, they were going to chop me up. So I'm like, no, just don't touch me. So I go to the Miami airport with my butt inside out. I'm at the Miami airport with my butt inside out, laying on my stomach in the middle of the Miami airport. I'm on the phone with the surgeon. I'm like, I don't care where he is. You guys need to bring him into the office now. This is an emergency. He tells me in 25 years of doing this, never once has he had this happen to a patient. Oh, good, great. That makes me feel so much better. Thank you. No, like, so I go back, I take a shot, lay down, and flip it back. I did what had to be done. And then from that point on, I have basically spent every waking minute exploring my options as to how I can get them out of my body. Those are just like scratching the surface as to the problems that I've had with these implants. I can't even begin to explain. I can't do horseback riding anymore. I cannot do yoga. I cannot sleep in certain positions. I cannot sit in certain, if it's too hard, if the surface is too, you know what I mean? It's terrible. So I reached out to the surgeon who put them in to try and get them removed, and he tells me, first he says, well, I'm not gonna apologize.
Buddy told her he's not going to apologize. Imagine you spend $40,000 for a botched surgery just for your surgeon to look you dead in your eyes and tell you, I'm not going to apologize. What the fuck? Oh my.
His response to me saying, my implants flipped in the middle of the beach. Well, I'm not gonna apologize, which I understand, like, an apology is an admission of guilt to surgeons, but I mean, like, come on, dude. And then he proceeds to quote me almost $10,000 more than I paid to get them in for the removal. He gives me this quote to get them removed that's more than I paid to put them in, after he just admitted that I'm that 1%, that he's never had this happen before, and now you're telling me. I was mind blown. I hope that answers questions as to what I meant in the original video by plastic surgery ruined my life. It basically caused an addiction to surgery that led me to getting so many unnecessary surgeries that left me, I feel, disabled. I can't do all of the basic things that I used to be able to do, like I said, without risking extreme pain, extreme discomfort, or causing damage to the implants. I do a video with pictures talking more about the implants specifically, with receipts, pictures, and more of an explanation on the implants specifically. But that is it for all the questions in relation to my original video. If you guys have any more questions, leave them down in the comments, and I can definitely do more parts to this series.
So, what do you guys think about this story time? I think that this is a prime example of perpetual insecurity, bad parenting, and peer pressure. I also think that this could fall under the category of a type of cyberbullying. Not necessarily cyberbullying, but at the same time, reasons for why your child shouldn't be engaging in the cyberspace as often as she was, apparently. You see, the thing is, number one, cosmetic surgery is something I've always been against, and it's something I will always be against, because doctors make mistakes just like you do on your job every single day. But the difference between your job and a doctor's job is that you get one body. You get one life. If they mess it up, you'll have to endure a lifetime of discomfort the way that she is. That's the difference. In addition to that, you're never actually healing the underlying insecurities that you have within yourself. All you're doing is putting a bandage over the problem and prolonging the issue. You actually need mental healing. You need mental clarity. You need to look yourself in the mirror and say to yourself that you are worth it. That's what you really need to do. I know it sounds cliche. I know it sounds corny. But I'd much rather a lifetime of sounding cliche and corny than a lifetime of me not being able to sit on the toilet properly and take a number two, take a bowel movement because I decided to make a stupid decision as a 16-year-old to go get some surgery. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's absolutely disgusting that her parents enabled her, and it's even disgusting that her boyfriend did as well. But more importantly, those parents. Because random boys that you meet, they're going to do whatever, they're going to say whatever they want to say in order to get some clap, okay? They want to clap some cheeks. They're going to say whatever they want to say in order to do that. But your parents, the people that are supposed to love you, cherish you, guide you, and they enabled this behavior? That's something that I cannot excuse. And I believe that that is a sort of child abuse. I think that it's disgusting that she went along with this, that her parents, she had an environment that was conducive of this kind of mentality. And I think it to be very sad that we now have a grown woman that's walking around. And I'm pretty sure there are many other women that are walking around that are very ashamed of their past decision making for getting surgeries, and also are walking around uncomfortable in their day-to-day lives because of that decision, that very, very painful and fatal sometimes decision that they decided to make earlier in their life. But let me know down in the comments, what do you guys think? Do you agree with me that it's disgusting that her parents allowed her to go through with such a thing, and that she should have instead looked in the mirror, maybe even gone through a level of therapy in order to begin to love herself? Or do you guys disagree and feel that she can do whatever she wants, she's a grown woman, and that she should be able to spend her money how she likes, and that it's her body, she can do whatever the hell she wants with it? Thank you for tuning into this Clocked Out Conversation. Like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more. I will see you in the next one. Peace!